The music news has been absolutely dominated this week by two reunions. Of course, Oasis, which has already been fully confirmed and announced, and then Linkin Park, which until the event next week on September 5th is still technically speculation. Given all the rumors this year about them reuniting, it does seem very likely. Assuming that that is what in fact actually happens, that just leaves one huge question mark. Who will they get to fill the spot of the late, great Chester Bennington? Welcome back to The Logan Show. Let's debate. When these rumors first really got going earlier this year, it was actually, I believe, Jay Gordon from the band Orgy that first revealed, or rumored, whatever you want to say, back in March that Linkin Park were going to reunite and were rolling with a female vocalist, with rumors then circulating that it would be Amy Lee of Evanescence. But shortly afterwards, she responded to those claims, saying that she wasn't contacted about it, but that she would consider it part-time. Which, you know, I don't know for sure, but I really doubt the fact that they would bring her on as the quote-unquote new vocalist of Linkin Park. Look, there's no denying that she's an incredible powerhouse vocalist, but I just don't think she's the right fit for Linkin Park. She has a very, I guess you could say, operatic type of singing style, which I think could work on certain Linkin Park songs, maybe some of their slower stuff, but something like One Step Closer or something, I just don't see it working, in my opinion at least. There's footage out there of various performances of Amy Lee and Lzzy Hale of Halestorm doing a cover of Heavy from Linkin Park's last album, One More Light. It's the song that features Kiara, I believe is how you say her name. And it's cool for sure. Great performances that they did, but it's a slower version. It's not as poppy as Linkin Park's. Amy and Lizzy's version is very piano heavy, especially the beginning. So Amy's voice works well with it when they cover it. But if it were the actual Linkin Park version with the rest of Linkin Park behind her, I'm just not sure how well it would translate. Lzzy Hale is also someone I've seen people say they think would be a great fit. And I think overall she would probably be a better fit for Linkin Park than Amy Lee would, especially on some of their heavier songs. I mean, Lzzy Hale can certainly scream like Chester could. So I think in that regard it would work a little bit better. But even then, I don't think that's the move either. And I don't think that's probably not even an option that was on the table. But I don't know. I could be wrong. Lzzy did a great job earlier this year when she filled in for Skid Row. But I don't know, it's like comparing apples to oranges. Skid Row and Linkin Park are two very, very different bands. And I think Skid Row is certainly a bit more Lzzy Hale's bag as opposed to Linkin Park. She also just posted a video of herself covering Crawling, which maybe she's hinting at something, I don't know. But everybody's posting Linkin Park content right now because it's hot. It's going to get views, especially from a well-known musician. So just because an artist you like posts a vocal cover of Linkin Park does not mean they are going to be replacing Chester. Most likely not the case. We've probably not even heard from who they're going to roll with as the new singer. Anyways, shortly after the Amy Lee rumors and all that, Billboard reported that the band's booking agency was fielding offers for a potential reunion tour in 2025, as well as looking at some festival headline appearances. So for most of the year leading up to now, it has appeared that a Linkin Park reunion has been looming on the horizon. And then, of course, since the talks of the reunion really heated up last weekend, when the band posted that now controversial 100-hour countdown timer that basically went nowhere. That's a whole nother thing. But since then, you know, people have suggested they should roll with this person as a new singer. They should get that person. A million different names have been brought up. None more so, though, than Sum 41 vocalist Deryck Whibley, who completely ruled the headlines this week, given his history performing at the Chester Bennington celebration show back in 2017, where he performed the song The Catalyst with the rest of Linkin Park, and then subsequent performances over the years performing Faint with Mike Shinoda. And, you know, everything really seemed to make sense that Deryck Whibley could potentially be the new guy, because Sum 41's currently on their farewell tour for the rest of 2024, their last two shows, quote unquote last two shows, like a band ever really ends. Come on. But anyways, as of now, their last two shows are taking place in January of 2025. And the supposed Linkin Park reunion not happening until later into 2025. So on that front, it definitely seemed like a faint possibility, pun fully intended. The Deryck Whibley rumor really heated up though when Sum 41 announced that Whibley would be making an announcement around the same exact time that Linkin Park's countdown timer was ending, which again, that timer was the source of frustration for so many people, myself included. So many people sitting there watching that thing end only to start counting back up. Just ridiculous. That's a whole conversation for another day. If you don't know, basically the countdown timer ended only to reveal an event on September 5th. So that's the gist of that. But in the end, pun intended again, Deryck actually said that he was going to move his announcement as rumors began to fly, that's what the announcement was that he was going to be joining Linkin Park. But then he has since now denied that not only is he not joining Linkin Park, he's not joining Oasis either, as some people speculated. So neither of those things are happening, according to Whibley. But with some of the other people that we're going to talk about in this video, you know, you're not going to confirm anything involving Linkin Park until the band makes the announcement themselves. Now, you probably just wouldn't say anything as opposed to flat out, you know, saying I'm not in Linkin Park. But still, just because anybody that we talk about in this video says they're not in Linkin Park, we're not going to know for sure. Nobody's going to jump the gun until Linkin Park reveals something themselves. Anyways, though, I just rewatched a video of Deryck performing Faint with Mike Shinoda, and it's pretty good. It really is. But again, I just don't think he's the right fit for the band either. Just like Amy Lee, not the right fit. I think he does the song justice for the most part, and he does Chester justice. But to me, and I don't mean this to sound as harsh as it probably will, but I think his voice, while it is different than Chester's, it's also just too similar. And I think if he were to actually end up joining Linkin Park, he would be doing himself a disservice because, and I could be wrong here, but I just think that too many people would refer to him as you know, a poor man's Chester Bennington or something like that. And again, I don't mean to be mean. He's a great singer. Deryck would certainly do a better job in Linkin Park than I could do. I mean, I couldn't sing Chester Bennington to save my life. But I think in the end, it would be doing more harm than good to both Deryck himself and the band, especially if they're going to continue moving forward and release new music or whatever, and really become an active band again. Because, like I said, Deryck sounds different than Chester, but he also sounds too similar, if that makes any sense. So it would almost be like, and again, I don't mean to sound mean, it would be like, you know, watching a band that's really good do a cover, and you're just like, you know, of another band, and you're just like, it was all right, but I'd rather just hear the real band do the songs themselves. And I feel like that could potentially be the case with Deryck Whibley, where yes, he is a little different, but he's also maybe a little too close. Would probably get a lot of criticism and just too similar and probably not good enough if they're looking for an exact Chester replica. So I don't know. That's just my opinion. I don't think he's the right fit. Great singer, not the right choice for Linkin Park, in my opinion. Another person that's been brought up a lot is Bonnie Fraser from the band Stand Atlantic. She recently did a studio performance of Bleed It Out with Mike Shinoda, and I gotta say, out of everybody, for the most part, that we're talking about in this video, certainly everybody we've talked to up to this point, from the little that I have heard, who knows, maybe this is a hot take, maybe it's a bit of a stumble on my end, but I don't think she'd be the worst fit in the world. I've only heard her do Bleed It Out, which, you know, is a very Mike Shinoda heavy song. You know, he does a lot of the verses, Chester doing the chorus, so I guess I would like to hear more songs. I'd like to hear her do more Chester heavy Linkin Park songs, but I think she sounded great, and to me it would be a very interesting choice, to say the least. I'm not really sure how likely that is, as her band Stand Atlantic, while they're not huge, they definitely have a lot going on, a ton of hype right now. They just put out a record last week called Was Here. They're doing a tour in the fall with A Day to Remember, and you know, it would be cool, but you know, I don't know, if your band, even if your band isn't huge, but if your band is on the rise and you've got a lot of hype, you've got a lot of things going on, just put out a record, doing a big tour in the fall, I don't know that you would give that up for Linkin Park. Maybe Linkin Park's going to come back part-time, in which case it would make sense because it would raise her profile, and then, subsequently the profile of Stand Atlantic as well. But, which I could see. I could see Linkin Park coming back only full-time, or only part-time rather. Maybe they're going to do a few shows here or there, or some sporadic touring with some festival appearances around the world in the summertime, things like that, sporadic releases. But, if they're going to come back and do full-time, I don't think that Bonnie is an option. If they're coming back part-time, though, maybe. And I think in that scenario, like I said, raising her profile and the profile of her band, in that case, it would be a win-win situation. And I do think that, obviously she's a female, so she, fits with the rumor that the band's going to reunite with a female. But I think she does have a style similar to Chester, as she did a great scream in that performance with Mike Shinoda. And I do think that having a female, while maybe it wouldn't sound quite like Linkin Park moving forward, having a female in place of Chester and then Mike Shinoda, I think that, having the dual male-female thing, I think could make for some interesting future releases from the band, whether it's Bonnie or it's somebody else. So, I don't know. I do think Bonnie Fraser could be a cool option, though. Much like Deryck Whibley, though, she has confirmed that she is, in fact, not the new singer of Linkin Park. But, again, nobody's going to confirm anything until the band does. So is she telling the truth? Probably, but we'll have to wait and see on September 5th. These past couple days, I've also seen a ton of people saying that they think Bobby Amaru could potentially be the new vocalist, who's been fronting Saliva for many, many years now and has done a great job replacing Josie Scott, who left that band a very long time ago. But that said, Saliva is nowhere near what they once were. There's 0 original members left in that band. The last original member in that band was guitar player Wayne Swinney, who sadly passed away last year. And while the band can still draw in clubs and theaters, I would argue that the popularity of Saliva is certainly waning, and pretty quickly at that. One thing that's not waning, though, is Bobby Amaru's voice. That dude is still a powerhouse and does a phenomenal job on both the stuff he's done with Saliva and the classic Saliva songs like Click, Click, Boom and all that kind of stuff that he wasn't even a part of originally. And not to mention, much like with Bonnie Fraser, Bobby also recently did a studio performance with Mike Shinoda doing the song Faint. And my God, was it fantastic. Out of all the ideas we've talked about so far in this video, I think Bobby probably sounds the closest to Chester, and I think would serve the songs, if they go the male route, I think he would serve the songs better than someone like Deryck Whibley could. Again, Deryck Whibley, great vocalist. Bobby Amaru, though, I think his voice is just very well suited for something like Linkin Park, and there was a ton of speculation that it could be Bobby Amaru. Once that countdown timer ended the other day, Linkin Park announced that event happening in Los Angeles. And then right after that, Bobby said that he was going to LA for something. And then he recently posted a vocal cover of Lying From You, but he has since denied those rumors as well. But again, nobody's going to say anything until the band reveals it themselves. Another route they could go if they really, really want to shake things up, someone that will most likely need a new band very, very soon. And this is a steaming hot take, but Corey Feldman could be an option. I mean, just think about it.
Start it over. On the same count, everybody. Really? Shut up! Shut up! Bad time to tune the guitar, man. It's a terrible time. What are you doing? What are you doing? No. What are you doing? I'm about to break!
Yeah, definitely a solid option. And at the very least, it would make for some absolutely incredible memes. In all seriousness, though, there's a million different routes that the band could go from this list that we just went over. And look, there's probably a million other options that were on the table. Hell, they're probably going with someone not even on this list. But anyways, from this list specifically, my personal choices would be based on 2 different factors. If they want someone different than Chester, but can still pull it off, add something new to the band, and if they're going to stick with the rumored female route, hands down, Bonnie Fraser. Absolutely incredible, in my opinion. If they want something a little more on the nose and sort of an obvious, quote-unquote, obvious replacement for Chester, the same type of singer, definitely Bobby Amaru. That guy's cover of Faint with Mike Shinoda, just absolutely incredible. There's I think his daughter might be doing the cover with him in that video. I'm not sure. I know he's done a lot online with, Bobby has done a lot online with his daughter. I think she was in that Mike Shinoda video too. She'd be a good fit too, but she's a little too young. But anyways, if they want just a solid rock singer, somewhat similar to Chester, Bobby Amaru could definitely be a very strong choice. I don't think that they need a one-for-one clone of Chester though, or even even someone that closely resembles him. One thing that I think a lot of people are forgetting is that, yes, Chester is a huge part of Linkin Park, probably the most recognizable name, face, and voice from that band. And I think moving on without him will always leave something missing. I mean, look at how the logo changed once Chester died. Part of the logo was missing, and now in that new graphic that the band shared the other day, a lot of people pointing out, hey, look, the new logo is restored. But Chester was not solely Linkin Park, and that's no disrespect to Chester. Chester has an iconic voice. I love Chester, but he's not the sole member of the band. Linkin Park is Mike Shinoda, Brad Delson, Dave Phoenix, Joe Hahn, Rob Borden, and Chester Bennington. It's a collective group effort. Not to mention, they still have Shinoda, so there's already half of the vocal situation covered. And I think, moving forward, looking at past history suggests the best route to go. When you look at bands like AC/DC getting Brian Johnson, Van Halen having Sammy Hagar replace David Lee Roth, Queen with Paul Rodgers and then Adam Lambert, they don't need a replica. Hell, I mean, looking at AC/DC and Van Halen especially, those bands got bigger. I don't think that's not going to be the case with Linkin Park, but obviously it can work to get a new singer that is a total 180 from what you initially had. Granted, some bands have gone the quote-unquote replica or clone route with great success. I mean, Journey's probably the first band that comes to mind, having Arnel Pineda replace Steve Perry. He's basically identical. He does a great job, but I don't think that's necessary here. Could it work? Sure. There's a Linkin Park tribute band from Portugal, I believe, called Hybrid Theory, and their singer is just absolutely incredible. Put on a video of Hybrid Theory, close your eyes, and you would swear that dude is Chester Bennington. It's that close. The similarity is just remarkable. And if Linkin Park is looking for someone that sounds exactly like Chester Bennington, and they're going to move forward maybe like Pantera is, and it's really just going to be a honoring the legacy of the Abbott brothers with Pantera, and Linkin Park honoring the legacy of Chester moving forward, 1000%. The guy that I would be calling is the dude from Hybrid Theory. Just insane. It's just one of those things where, are they going to go with a name singer or are they going to go with an unknown? The thing is that Linkin Park is already a massive band. They do not need star power to help them with their brand and to sell tickets and things like that. When you look at someone like Lzzy Hale, like we mentioned earlier, filling in for Skid Row earlier this year. I mean, yeah, Skid Row is probably the more legendary band. Overall has experienced more success than Halestorm has, but nowadays Halestorm is the way bigger band. Having Lzzy Hale certainly helped keep those shows. That's the reason they brought Lzzy Hale in. Their singer left. They wanted to keep their shows. Probably helped sell even more tickets because at this point in time in 2024, Lzzy Hale's name holds way more weight than Skid Row, but that's a totally different beast than Linkin Park. Linkin Park is a massive arena level band. Not to mention, kind of like we talked about earlier with Bonnie Fraser, anyone that has an already active, successful full-time project, they're going to be very unlikely to commit to another band unless, like we talked about, Linkin Park's going to go full or part-time and everything's just going to be sporadic and here and there, and said person can focus on their main project, which is very possible. But that's the problem with these name singers, is that, unless their band is done, it's just going to be hard to commit to your own band plus Linkin Park. One of the concerns with Linkin Park going with an unknown, though, somebody that does not have a recognizable voice, a proven voice, and regardless of if it's male or female, I do think that an unknown would face heavy, unfair criticism, always being constantly compared to Chester, whether they sound similar or not, whatever the case may be, because when you look at anyone we've mentioned, Amy Lee, Deryck Whibley, whoever, all of those people have their own established bands. know their voice. You know, maybe not quite what you could expect with them in Linkin Park, but you would at least have an idea going back and listening to Sum 41's catalog or Evanescence's catalog or whatever. You could at least paint a picture. When you get an unknown that nobody is familiar with, I just think you're opening the door for a lot of criticism, and it's just one of those things. You go see some local band cover a song, like I mentioned. Well, I would just rather hear the band do it. And I think that would be the case with somebody, with them bringing in somebody that does not already have a name, is that it's going to be nothing but Chester comparisons. And I think, obviously, if you bring a female in, I mean, you can't really compare to Chester. But even somebody, a male with the name Bobby Amaru, well, I don't know that I would say Bobby Amaru has a huge name, but, you know, Deryck Whibley from Sum 41, whoever, you know, it's just, it's not going to be as difficult as it would be for somebody unknown, in my opinion. But let me know what you think about that down below. Anyway, so this is, of course, all speculation. We will not know anything until September 5th, unless something pops up before then, which I highly doubt. But on Thursday, all will be revealed. There's also a rumored new Linkin Park song coming next week featuring 21 Pilots, which will likely be revealed at that event as well. But that event is 5 hours long. It's running from 12:30 to 5:30 p.m. Pacific. I'd imagine they're going to spend a lot more time on other things. You don't need 100-hour countdown timers and 5-hour events and all that kind of stuff just to hype up one new song. That'll be a part of it, I'm sure, but I can guarantee you a small part of that event. All right, though, I gotta run. My fiance is waiting to hit the floor with me. Hopefully, I'll be able to find a cure for the itch afterwards. But anyways, I gotta go. But thanks so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you next time on The Logan Show.